I was born in 1956, Chelsea, Massachusetts, and I guess when I was 3 or 4, moved to Jacksonville. My father was in the service. I had 5 sisters and 2 brothers. My younger brother died like 10 years ago, and I still have 5 sisters, 4 older sisters, 1 younger. And it was a big family, yeah.
I was 4 years older than Ray, so he was a pain in my side all through growing up. But you could tell even early on in life that he was marching to a different drum tune. I was crazy about the Beatles, so he couldn't like the Beatles. He had to like the Dave Clark 5.
Ray growing up was a holy terror. He was full of energy. Let me put it this way, I can't have a pillow on my head to these days, you know, because he like tried to kill me one time. He did.
We have 7 children, and he's always loved music. When he was about 10 years old, he wanted a drum, and we couldn't buy him a set of drums. We were 7 children, my husband and an 80, so we went to the pawn shop and got him a drum. It was a snare drum, but we didn't know that at the time. Brought it home. He was thrilled to death with it. So I said, well, do you want to take lessons? And he said yes. So we had the man come to the house, and he would sit with Ray for an hour and talk to him. And then Ray, he'd say, now practice all week. He'd come back and he'd say, how much did you practice, Ray? I didn't have time. So the 3rd time he came, he took the $10 bill that he was charging, and he rolled it up into a ball like a cigarette, handed Ray a book of matches, and said, light this. I said, man, are you crazy? And he said, well, that's what you're doing with your parents' money. He said, there's no sense in me coming over and giving you lessons if you're not going to practice. That was the end of his lessons. He's never had another lesson since then.
In 6th grade, we won the Battle of the Bands talent show.
And we had this theme song that went sort of like, the invaders are coming in the rocket ships. Invaders are coming, you see them flip. And from then on, you know, it was the Nehrus we used to wear and stuff.
Hell, when Frank and I were kids, you know, we used to come to lids, 4-finger bags of pot were $20, and all of us, Matt Ferris, all of our friends, we had a little gang. We're called Ball the Weasel. We actually had a fort underneath the school. You know, it was a Lakeshore junior high school. Have our little girlfriends and had our dirty magazines, and we'd sit up underneath there smoking pot all day long. Then we got into the acid, you know, we'd be tripping our brains out, you know, missing school. We were at school, but we were underneath the school partying our brains out, you know, and we had a little gang called them. We'd all wear little, you know, cut off jean jackets and black boots, and we'd have bicycles and extend the forks, you know, because, you know, we thought we were the Hells Angels, you know, we're just little punks, you know. And
well, Ray and a friend of his were in 7th grade and we were in 6th. And they heard about this guitar player that played Wipeout, who was like me. I played Wipeout in 6th grade. So they invited me over to Ray's house, and him and Sonny, one of his first guitar players, sat down and they said, well, we know one song, I'll never forget it, House of the Rising Sun. And we played House of the Rising Sun about, I don't know, 5 or 6. It's the only song we knew.
We started off playing Judas Priest. Actually, back then we started off playing old Rolling Stones, Beatle covers, whatever we could, and mixed them with originals, and been together ever since. There's been a few times where we split up and he went different ways, but we always wind up back together. And
Ray was always gung-ho. Well, let's start a band. Let's start a band. We can do something with this, you know. So we'd rehearse, but Ray and I somehow got in a band. We got in a band called Chronic Blues. Well, came across Ray. They didn't care for Ray, and they kicked Ray out of the band. I'm like, man, he was the singer, you know. He was the front guy. About 2 weeks later, they got me out of the band. They fired me. So Ray and I said, the heck with them. We'll start our own band. And Ray's sister, Dory, was dating Dean Kilpatrick, the fellow that died from Skinner, and they gave us an opening job at Bay Meadow, or what was it called? Cedar Hills Armory. They gave us a job opening up because Dory, his sister, was dating Dean, and Dean knew all the guys and we were called Alakazam, and it was us, Running Easy, and Leonard Skinner. We all lived in this little west side area, and this little area was just notorious for putting out bands, mostly Southern rock. I mean, Leonard Skinner and their people lived over here, Molly Hatchet and them lived over in Riverside, and you know, all these other guys, Drew Lumbar, all these great, really good musicians grew up. And
a lot of, I guess you would call rednecks, a lot of country guys. Everybody liked Leonard Skinner and didn't like us long hairs too much. It was all right. I guess there's worse places to grow up. I was playing in a metal band, well, not a metal, but kind of a hard rock band. There was a bunch of bands practicing on this one street called Post Street near Post and King. It was like all these empty storefronts. I lived in one storefront. Some other guys in this new, quote, new wave band lived in the other storefront. And Ray was in the new wave band. And I knew about Ray from this other band called the Attitudes. Thought he was really cool. We went to this thing at a drive-in theater, and they did like the rockinest version of Feelings that I had ever seen. I didn't think the band was, I wasn't really that much into the band, but I remember the singer blowing me away. It was so cool, and it was Ray. You know, he just had such charisma on stage. So he somehow lined up where he was practicing right next door. I was in the hard rock band, and both bands kind of fizzled out, and we said, hey, let's form a punk rock band.